first open up the desktop application, you'll open to a blank page here. To get started, we're going to import an Excel workbook with some sales data so we can start to see how this application is used and what these various pages and different menu options have. To get started, we're going to click the Get Data option up top. There we go. We have Excel files, all the different CSV files, JSON, different database types, connecting to different Azure services. So here, we're going to start with the Excel file. Connecting to here, we have a file called Sales Export. And open that up. As it loads the file, it'll show all the different sheets in this workbook. Here we have one sheet called Sheet 1, and it gives you a little preview about the first 100 rows or so of the sheet, so you can kind of make sure that it's the right information. From here, you can either just load the data straight away, start working with it, but we're going to transform the data so we can make a few adjustments to make it work better for us. This will open up the Power Query editor, and from here we can do some transformation on this data. So first thing we want to do, under this item category, we're going to click the drop down. So we have a couple different options selected here, but we have this little warning since it only loads a snippet of the information. So we're going to do load more so it can read the whole data set. We're going to unselect the junk category since we don't want to worry about that in our report later on. Click OK. You can see all the junk category is taken away. And the next thing we want to do, since we have the quantity of each sale and the price of each individual item, we're going to come here and price. We're going to go to Add Column up top and multiply those together so we can have our aggregate total for each sale. The column name multiplication doesn't really help us, so we're going to rename that to Total Sale Amount. And the last thing we're going to do, save this and move on, is going to be to rename. The worksheet in Excel was called Sheet 1 and name this Sheet 1. We're going to rename that to Sales. So later on, if we have multiple data sources, we know which one we're working with, and it makes a lot more sense to anyone trying to understand the data model. We'll go back to the Home tab up top here. You close and apply. And this will save all of our steps that we did there and actually load the full data set into Power BI Desktop. Depending on the size of your file or the type of data you're connecting to, this step could take a little while. All right, we can see now on the right side we have, under Fields, we have the Sales data set, which has all those same columns we had before. We have a number of visualizations we'll get into in a little bit. And on the left side here, we have the report page, which we're on, the data page, which allows us to look into the data we have. We can add new columns, and we can do some filtering on here, basically to review our data. This doesn't, if you do a filter on here, this doesn't remove it from your data set. It's just for your analyzing what you have in here. And then if you have multiple different data sets, you come into here, into the model window. And this is where you'd have each data set connected from field to field so you can see what the relationship model is. In future videos, we'll get into this more and how you can make this work for you, how to keep it organized, some best practices. But we'll go back to the report window here. So the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to start building out our first report with several visualizations. I like to start with some aggregate total of what the purpose of this dashboard is and work our way down from there. So we'll start simple. For our visualization options, we have bar charts, we have line charts, pie charts, maps. We'll start simple with just a card. Which really is, as you think, just one big page with one big number on it. So here we're just going to take our total sale amount and drag it onto fields. And see if here, if you click the little drop down, we'll see what kind of aggregation is being done on that field. So we can get what the average of the sales are, the minimum, maximum, the number. Here we're just going to do sum so we can get the total number. Now we're going to do a couple little cleanup things here because this doesn't look that nice. This 535.64K, not very clean, doesn't really help anybody. So if we come over here and click on total sale amount, we'll see up top all of our menus just changed. We have this column tool. So first off, we're going to click this little drop down next to the dollar sign, and we'll go to currency for English US. Now this helps since we know that we're talking financial data here. We want to have the dollar sign. And then to clean up this little number here, since we want to be more specific on our reports, instead of this average out and the K symbol, you can come over here to the paintbrush under Format. We go to the data label, and this is basically where it does the roll-up of hundreds, thousands, millions, etc. It defaults to auto and tries to kind of choose what makes the most sense based on the data it sees. So here we'll just choose none, and we'll drag this out a little bit. You can see that it actually brings out the total now. If we want to, we can come back into this, click on the total sale amount field again, come in here, and if we want to get rid of the decimal places, we can come up here and take that down to 0. Important step here, and make sure we save our dashboard, or save our report. It's going to be saved as a PBIX file. If your application crashes while you're in the middle of saving or between saves, it'll try to recover what you have, but definitely best practice is save early, save often. So we have our big number, total sales for the whole data set we have, which in this case is for 1 year. So the next thing we want to do, let's bring in a line chart. And we can see kind of how the trend is through the year. If you move this around, you'll see we start to get some red dash marks here and there. That's to try to help you line up your visualization into the page so you can make sure it's organized. See, we're along the top, or we come along the side here to see it matches up with the previous card one we created. So we'll bring this up to the top here so they line up together. I'll bring it all the way across since this is going to be a time series along the bottom. So we'll come here to order date, and that'll be on our axis. And then we'll do our total sale amount again as our value. Since we only have 1 year of data, we don't want to have just this one point in the middle. You can either leave it how it is, and we can drill down with these various options up top here. But as a default, we know that that's not going to be very useful for anybody. So to come over into this order date hierarchy, we can click on the X next to year, and then the X next to quarter. And that'll now bring us just each month's total. So also, as we dig further into this, we can click on different options, and we'll see that'll change the total on all the other visualizations we build. The next thing let's bring in another bar chart, or our first bar chart. And this one we'll bring on the side over here, and we'll try to match those up with the other ones. And this one will do the total sales by the sales rep. So on the axis, we'll do sales rep. And since there's no values yet, it doesn't have anything to bring in, we'll bring in total sales again as values. And by default, it'll sort it from descending. So in here now, this is we have a axis on the bottom with the numbers, but if we want to bring in a little more specific so we can see on each person what their number for total is, we can come over here again to Format. We can go to Data Label, turn that on. And then one other example we'll bring in is, since we know that these sales are throughout the country, we'll bring in a map, and we'll make it fill in the rest of that page there. Under the map, you can have either just a generalized location, or if you have the actual latitude and longitude, you can put those in here. And here we just have locations based on city names. So you can see where every data point comes up as a different city in here. And then in here, we'll also bring in the total sale amount again as the size for each dot. Let me see where the most sales occurred. You can hover over and it'll bring in different options. I'm sorry, it's a state, not the city. And then if we want to dig a little further, we can click on the month of March, and it'll filter down, bringing you the drill down into each sales rep for that month, as well as what their total was, and the different changes for that month for the map down here. You can click on that same one again, it'll undo that. And then likewise, if we click on a different value in a different visualization, we can click Sarah Snyder here, and that'll zoom into just her information on the map and as well as her information up top here. You can see up top the bar chart or the line chart will change as we select different people. Again, let's make sure we save our work. Then lastly, now we have some information we want to publish so the rest of our organization can see it. We'll click Publish up here. We can choose My Workspace in this case and select, and it'll publish it to the Power BI service. Once that's done, we get a little window pop up saying it's done, and we can open it in the Power BI service as long as you're already logged in. From here, it's the same report with the same visualizations we saw before. And the filtering works the same way. We can click on a month and it'll change. If you really want, you can click on, like we can see December grew a lot. We can click on December. Right down, we can drill down specifically just into the month of December. We can click on a specific day, all the way down just one specific day within the month, and everything changes accordingly. We can go back up as well. So that's that. Another video, we'll get into the Power BI service and how you connect back into your data, into live data from here, how to share it with your organization. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you'd like to be notified of future videos, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you have any other questions about Power BI, reach out to us by visiting netwoven.com or send us an email at info@netwoven.com.